Okay, for anyone who has seen this, you know it's bad.
Because Europe really helped. President Trump said that they made less support, but they are our friends and they are our very supportive partners. They really gave a lot, Mr. President. They did.
They gave a lot, but they gave much less.
No.
Much less.
No.
$1 billion. We gave you military equipment, and your men are brave, but they had to use our military.
What about
if you didn't have our military equipment,
But when you've lost Fox News, and in particular conservative pundit Karl Rove, you know it's catastrophic, and you've humiliated yourself and the country to new levels.
Beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. Right now, you don't. You're playing cards. You're playing cards. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III.
Hey, Carl, what was your read on what you watched on TV for the past 30 minutes?
But the only winner out of today is Vladimir Putin. This is a mistake to have it broadcast. It was a mistake for Zelensky to get his dander up, and it was a mistake for the president and the vice president to be so public in their comments. This was not the moment that should have been televised.
In what has been described as one of the most shambolic moments in modern American history, joining the likes of January 6th, which again happened to involve the same perpetrator. I'm seeing a trend here. Trump invited Ukrainian President Zelensky to the Oval Office to simply set up an ambush where he and JD Vance, when he wasn't eyeing the couch that he was sitting on, took turns berating Zelensky as they regurgitated Russian propaganda. Propaganda that was quickly pumped right into the Kremlin, considering they invited a member of Russia's state-owned news agency into the Oval Office, even as the Associated Press and Reuters were barred from the high-level meeting, because that's not alarming, right?
What just happened in the Oval Office is nothing short of remarkable. It began with questions about a ceasefire in Ukraine and security guarantees and what the United States would be willing to do, and it ended with an outright shouting match between President Zelensky, President Trump, and Vice President JD Vance. It was incredibly heated, and by the end of it, President Trump was absolutely fuming, saying he wasn't quite sure how these negotiations were going to look going forward.
But the thing is, it didn't go to plan. Zelensky pushed back when able on the misinformation perpetuated by the sitting president and his minion.
The way it goes. All right, one more question.
Hey, I will respond to this. So look, for 4 years in the United States of America, we had a president who stood up at press conferences and talked tough about Vladimir Putin, and then Putin invaded Ukraine and destroyed a significant chunk of the country. The path to peace and the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy. We tried the pathway of Joe Biden of thumping our chest and pretending that the president of the United States' words mattered more than the president of the United States' actions. What makes America a good country is America engaging in diplomacy. That's what President Trump is doing.
Can I ask you?
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So he occupied our parts, big parts of Ukraine, part of East and Crimea. So he occupied it on 2014. So during a lot of years, so I'm not speaking about just Biden, but those time was Obama, then President Obama, then President Trump, then President Biden, now President Trump, and God bless, now President Trump will stop him. But during 2014, nobody stopped him. He just occupied and took. He killed people. You know what the contact
2015.
2014
2014.
and
2014.
Yeah. So
I was not here.
Yeah, but
that's exactly right.
Yes, but during 2014 till 2022, the situation the same. The people are been dying on the contact line. Nobody stopped him. You know that we had conversations with him, a lot of conversation, my bilateral conversation, and we signed with him, me, like a new president. In 2019, I signed with him the deal. I signed with him, Macron and Merkel, we signed ceasefire. Ceasefire. All of them told me that he will never go. We signed with him with gas contract. Yes, but after that, he broken this ceasefire. He killed our people and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems.
$1 billion. We gave you military equipment, and your men are brave, but they had to use our military.
What about
if you didn't have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3 days. I heard it from Putin. In 3 days.
All while taking time to humiliate this absolute wet McMuffin of a reporter who suddenly took issue with proper attire in the Oval Office. Of course, he had nothing to say when Elon Musk rocked up with a hat, t-shirt, and his kid into the highest office.
My second question for President Zelensky. Why don't you wear a suit? Why don't you wear a suit? You're at the highest level in this country's office, and you refuse to wear a suit. Just want to see if do you own a suit?
Yeah, you have problems.
A lot of Americans have problems with you not respecting.
I don't have such. I will wear a costume after this war will finish.
Okay.
Yes, maybe
something
like yours. Yes, maybe something better. I don't know. We will see. Maybe something cheaper than. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for
Now, I would say this is utterly humiliating for this guy, but I just found out that he is the same person who happens to date Marjorie Taylor Greene. Tolerance for public humiliation is pretty high there.
And I just want to read you some of the quotes because everyone in the room was silent. No one was asking questions, listening as the three of them went back and forth, where President Trump was saying it was going to be very tough to negotiate going forward. He said that Putin may have broken deals with President Obama and President Bush, but that he had not broken any deals with President Trump. And that is why Trump was saying that he was confident that if they do come to a ceasefire, that Russia will not violate it. And Trump said at one point, and I'm quoting now from my notes that I took, to Zelensky, I have empowered you to be a tough guy. You either make a deal or we are out. He said, you don't have the cards.
And as I said, it was such a train wreck that even Fox News couldn't find a way to spin it.
Hey, Carl, what was your read on what you watched on TV for the past 30 minutes?
Well, this is why diplomacy should never be conducted in public. I'm confident, and we now know that, for example, in World War II, there were heated disagreements between Franklin Roosevelt, Joseph Stalin, and Winston Churchill, but we didn't see them broadcast on TV, and what we saw were statements that came out of these big conferences in which the Allies made an effort to move forward together. It is going to be incredibly hard to walk back from the kind of animosity that we saw in that room today, and to walk back some of those statements. It could have been done if it had not been, if cameras had not been running. But the only winner out of today is Vladimir Putin. This is a mistake to have it broadcast. It was a mistake for Zelensky to get his dander up, and it was a mistake for the president and the vice president to be so public in their comments. This was not the moment that should have been televised. They should have had those conversations out of camera sight, and I'm confident that then they would have been able to find a way to move forward. But it's really hard when you've had the kind of coverage of this moment that we've now had.
Yeah, and we're looking.
They instead left that up to butt-licking specialist Lindsey Graham.
President Trump handled it in a fashion that if I'm China, I'm Iran, I'm any would-be adversary, I'd be worried about right now. He gave a master class in how to stand up for America.
What is your reaction to hearing Republican Senator Lindsey Graham and even others within the administration saying that Zelensky would have to fundamentally change his point of view or potentially step down?
With all due respect, in Ukraine, we elect our own presidents, and we are known to start revolutions if we think that they are not acting at our best interest. So it's not up to Russian president or American president or American officials to tell Ukrainian people who should be our president.
And the thing is, while there were many sickening moments one could take issue with, the most notable for me had to be when Donald Trump, mere moments after putting his hands on Zelensky, because can you ever imagine him doing this to Putin, stated it would be hard to do business like this, meaning unless Zelensky cows the will of Vladimir Putin and his negotiators here, then the US will simply abandon Ukraine. Something that leaders across the world and allies to the United States, or previous allies, I mean, we don't know at this point, have already anticipated after today's shambles.
Connaissons tous la situation.
I think we all understand the situation. Russia is the aggressor and Ukrainians are the aggressed people. We must respect those who have been fighting since the beginning.
Il y a 3 ans et de continuer à le faire. Et quand je dis nous, ce sont les États-Unis d'Amérique, les Européens, les Canadiens.
We're all right. Europe, Canada, the Japanese, to help Ukraine and sanction Russia 3 years ago, and we will continue to do so.
Which should tell you exactly what you need to know regarding which side of history the US will be on. I'm almost out of words at this point. I mean, what an absolute national disgrace that we have decided to put in the highest office again.
I have been to, I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour.
Can't get enough Meidas? Check out the Meidas Plus Substack for ad-free articles, reports, podcasts, daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, and more. Sign up for free now at MeidasPlus.com.